Listen, I already know what you're here for, so there's no long, drawn out intro. Let's just get right into how I make my content. First things first, create the idea. So, what story do you want to tell? What kind of content do you want to make? Is it funny? Is it cooking? Is it fashion? Do your research. Do your research. Go look at similar creators' videos and see how they set their shots up, what gear they use, and how they get their shot sequences, right? Once you have your idea, it's easy for you to create your content, right? So you have your idea. Now it's time to set the scene. How do you want your content to look? How do you want your story to look? How do you want your whole idea to come to life, right? Once you have your idea, now it's time for you to set your scenes up. After doing all the research, after looking at similar creators' content, then you know how you want your thing to look. So now it's time for you to set your scene. So where do you want it to be? How do you want it to look? Do you want to be outside? Do you want to be inside? Most of my content is indoors. I live in a busy city and in a busy area, so it's hard for me to find places to go record without being interrupted, or without just being seen at all. I have anxiety, so I'm not trying to be all over the place, but after a while, I probably will go outside because I'm starting to see little places like when I drive around, so that's just what I would do. But if you don't want to be outside, or you don't want anybody like in your content or walking through it, or just, you know, the background noise to, you know, affect your video or just disrupt the video, then just start with the indoor setting. Like me, once you have the location of where you want to record, this is when you start setting up your gear to actually get the shot, right? Now, I'm not gonna act like I'm not one of those creators that's gonna come up here and say, oh yeah, it's easy, and you know what I'm saying, it is the most, like, you know what I'm saying, like, it's definitely time consuming. I would say it's time consuming, so just be mindful of that. Like, if you're recording and it's getting late, or if, you know what I'm saying, you know you're recording a lot. For instance, I have a lot of shot sequences in my videos. 1 minute I'm here, and then I'll walk off into a new scene, and then I'll walk off into a whole nother scene. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of editing to get from here, here, and here. This is because I actually record with an actual video camera. So I record with an actual DSLR, not, you know, an iPhone. But either way, iPhone is still harder. So once you go from that, you'll know how you want to set up your scenes and how you want to do it. So just be mindful that it is a lot of like time to be pushed into content, especially when you got to keep creating it over and over and over again. So hence why some creators take a break, or I feel like it mostly be the people, but for me, when I take breaks, it's because it's definitely time consuming. So now you have your idea, you have your scenes, and you have your gear set up, right? So for me, I just press record because it's like, I don't follow a script. I don't really think I need a script. I just think a lot of my stuff is improv. So I just press record. I'm gonna use a previous piece of content that I've already created. So for instance, when your whole family finds out that you like women or that you like men, right? And you're LGBTQ, of course. You know what I'm saying? I got that idea, so I know what I want. I know I want the family to be more focused on my sexuality than whatever the event or the gathering is. So I'm not gonna show any of them because they're all coming at me, if that makes sense. You don't need another, like, the character's actual face to create your story. You just need, you know, the general thing. You walk in, hey, how y'all doing? They, you know, making it seem like it's cool, boom, they bombard you with shit about being LGBT. You know what I'm saying? So I know that's what's in my head. So for me, I'm just like, I need to gear this to make it seem like my family is just now finding out that I like women. So in my head, that's what I'm thinking about. So it's easier for me to just react off of things that I think these characters would say, because I'm putting in the audio after I record. So I have to think on the fly of, just insert like a facial expression here, or make a gesture here, a small gesture. Like if I'm making content right now, right? And I'm talking to somebody right now, right? And this is a guy, this is a regular experience for all lesbian women. Hey, it's a guy right here, he wants to talk to me, I like women. So the dialogue would be, because it's just one-sided, it would be, he would be like, hey, you know what I'm saying, can I talk to you? This is me talking to him now. This is content mode. Oh, sorry, I'm not interested.
Damn, we ain't even going on a date yet. What you mean you're not interested?
Because I like women. It's kind of obvious, don't you think?
I like women too. We can like them together, you feel me?
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like you just gotta keep talking to yourself. Like, in that moment, like, he's like, oh, well, you know, I like girls too, or I like women too. You just like, oh, brother, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we already know what that conversation would be like. So I feel like it's easier to play off of what you think they will respond to. Like, you know what you think they will respond to you and say. So that's just how I do it. But if you have no idea what your direction is going to be or what you want to say, I would suggest you to develop a script. I would suggest to develop a script so you can follow it. A script is just a piece of written dialogue between I would say a piece of written dialogue that you would do between characters, but you can also do it for yourself. So it can just be you. You know what I'm saying? And you can just read it, and there are some pretty good programs out there you can use. You can actually download some apps that will change your phone or your iPad. I think with your iPad into a script. Is a script app, so you can just type in what you want to say, and it'll roll like a actual teleprompter. So yeah, teleprompter app. So I gotta check that out, but that's not what I do. So I mean, as you can see, that's not really my thing. So that's just how I make my content. So for me, after I got my idea, I have my scenes and I set up my gear. I'm always checking the lighting, the audio, the frame rate. I'm always checking the little things that really turn your video from like this to this. So I'll talk about more of that because it's a lot of things that play into, you know, exporting and importing content. A lot, actually. So after I'm done recording, I just, you know, take the SD card out, I insert it into the computer, and I start to edit, right? So this is the hardest, like the longest, not even the hardest, this is the longest part of the entire process in my opinion. I feel like other creators can, you know, that don't have editors, other creators that don't have editors, they can relate to that. I feel like that's the hardest part. The longest part about content creating. But like I said, we'll talk about that in another video. It might be a part 2, like the next video, we'll talk about that. But yeah, I edit, I export it, and this is the part that I feel like would be the hardest part, only because some of my content doesn't have 2 people in it, like 2 characters in the actual scene. So this is more the voiceover part. So once I export it, the whole project file, once it's done and it's like compiled into one video, I import it into TikTok, and I do the voiceovers in the app. I do all my voiceovers in app, but sometimes I use one of my microphones that I have. I feel like that's harder because you have to record, and I know you guys can see my handy recorder back there. I don't know if you can see it, it's in frame or not, but I have a recorder back there. I just hook the mic up to that, and I record because I like audio. I like for my audio to sound mad crispy. I don't like the staticky shit in the background. I'm still trying to find some ways to reduce, you know, the more like a noise reduction. Like that's normally what I use. We'll talk about all that shit in the next video, but I'm working on that. But yeah, so using all that, I just feel like it will add in like an additional time on like, you know, creating the content. So I feel like it's relatively easy for me to do the voiceover in TikTok, the actual app, because I can see where the pauses are. I can see, you know, where I want it versus me. And you can see it also in whatever app that you're gonna create your content in, like that you're gonna edit in. But for TikTok, I feel like it's easier because I know exactly where I want it. I don't gotta click and drag it and get it all precise and cut, and you know, I don't have to do all that shit. So you probably know what I'm talking about in another video, but I don't really feel like doing all that shit. So honestly, I need to get better at it. But all the shit that I'm saying I don't feel like doing for that part is the stuff that I'm gonna do for YouTube, because it's a different platform, if that makes sense. Because like I said, with the export, it does make the audio a little funky. Like it doesn't sound too good. So yeah, I just feel like, and TikTok does do also do a pretty a shitty job at voiceover volumes. So if you're ever in TikTok and you're doing a voiceover and you try to drag the volume down to make the voiceover seem like more of like you talking to someone that's far away from you, because you don't want to have content like this and then your TikTok audio is like, yeah, so like it's like, hold up, like I don't want it to be that loud, so I'm turning it down, but it still comes out loud. So I think I might have to go back to the harder method. Yeah, that's a lot. That was a mouthful, but if you want to be a content creator and you know you really trying to go hard with it, just know that you really gotta put some work in. Like, especially if you have a job and then this is like your passion or like your little side hustle, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's definitely time consuming. So I would say that. But I'm actually gonna make a video about like the pros and cons of content creating or being a content creator. So you guys can check that video out as well. So yeah, thank y'all for tuning in.